Hey everyone, welcome to Wezesha Wednesday. This is 2025, and this is my first Wezesha Wednesday. Shout out to everyone who made it through 2024, everyone who listened to Wezesha Wednesdays, and everyone who saw the tattoo that I put on my forearm saying Wezesha. So, very excited. I'm getting ready to go for a futa game, go Chelsea. But before I do so, I wanted to just sort of like wish everyone a happy 2025 and speak through a couple of things that are on my mind in regards to 2025, in regards to Wezesha, and more importantly, a subject that I've been, thinking about a lot, which is I wrote it down so I don't forget. And I'm asking everyone this question, right, for 2025. I want you to go, like, look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, what price are you willing to pay for indecision? What price are you willing to pay for indecision? So here's why. So it's 2025, we're in the second week of January. Resolution formation started probably late last year into first week of this year. And if you're like me, you get caught in this trap of, yeah, maybe, what if, yeah, but if I take that risk, what's going to happen? And if I do that, what's going to happen? And that drives indecision. By the way, I'm not talking about purposeful intention and being very methodical in your approach of doing things. I'm just talking about a decision. Should I do this or not? I'm not saying do it, or I'm not saying don't do it. What I'm saying is there is a risk in being caught in that indecision of whether you're going to do it or not. And that's what I wanted to talk about. So, what price are you willing to pay for indecision? Don't live in maybe and indecision. Don't live there. You can marinate in there for a little while. I'll give you grace. I'll give you the first 2 weeks. Heck, I'll give you the first 30 days of January to marinate in the maybe and indecision. But do not live there. Remember, we talked about this last year, but discomfort is the currency to your dreams. Discomfort is the currency to your dreams. Okay? So, um, why are people indecisive? Why do people live in indecision? And, what can we do to get people out of this indecision? It may come as no surprise to you all. I'll always go back to the fumble framework. So there's practical reasons for indecision, and then I think there's psychological reasons for indecision. Obviously, the practical reasons are trying to figure out what is the path that I need to take in order to accomplish what I need to accomplish by making this decision. Then the psychological ones are, framed on fear, uncertainty, all these things that we talked about in the fumble framework. So to that point, let me go over the fumble framework real quick. And I hope by going through that and at the end of this session, you can think through what is it that's stopping me from making a decision. And then I encourage you to time box it and say, okay, I'll marinate on this for 2 weeks, 7 days, 5 days, 3 days, at the end of which I must make a decision. And I'm not saying you make a decision to move forward. I'm saying make a decision. Maybe the decision is not to move forward, but here we go. So, my observation over all these years, right, when it comes to accomplishing your career goals, accomplishing any desire that you have, is that it will never be straightforward. There's always going to be uncertainty, there's always going to be pain, there's always going to be discomfort. That's just life. But along the way, you have to fumble. And what we talked about last year was thinking through what are those things that stop us from accomplishing our goals. And what we talked about was this framework that can help you through that process of accomplishing your goals and therefore making the decision better or being able to make that decision faster on whether or not you're going to proceed. So, what is fumble? The F in fumble is facing fear. We talked about this. You will experience things that are new to you. You're going to be scared. You're going to be fearful. Your mind and body will either freeze, fight, or flee. That is evolutionary. You cannot do anything about it. Don't listen to the naysayers who say, don't be scared. Be scared because being scared is how we survive. So I want you to understand that fear is a normal and healthy response to things that may harm us. That's how we've survived and evolved over the years. But fear can also hold us back from doing the things we want to do. And in this case, fear is a primary cause of uncertainty. Fear is a primary cause of indecision. So, how do you face your fear? Face your fear by balancing out with a dose of faith that all will be well. Take small risks, right? We talked about exposure therapy. So, expose yourself a little bit to that goal that you want. So, something small, like, I don't know, if you're part of Monga's class and is doing stock sisterhood, don't invest the $10,000. Start by investing the, $100 and get used to that exposure so that you can face your fear. And then, for me, probably the most important factor of facing fear is educating yourself, getting the knowledge that you need. And once you have that knowledge, you feel better about the decision you're going to make and you're able to face fear better. So there's multiple ways to face fear, but what I recommend for now, at least the two that I use, exposure therapy and learning. Once you do that, you'll face your fear and hopefully get over that marination of what decision to make. The second thing is getting unstuck. We get stuck because we overthink. And that's okay. I am an overthinker. My wife is not. My wife sees a vision, makes a decision, and goes through with it. For me, I'm like, yeah, but what if, what if, and then what if? What about that what if, what if, what if? And then what about that what if? So I get stuck in this indecision cycle and I'm just going round and round and round and round and round. You need to get unstuck. What should I do? Remember, progress rarely happens in a straight line. If you're like me, you've probably projected what your end goal is going to be, and you're looking for that path to get there. And that's prudent. That's good. There's nothing wrong with it. But then understand that getting stuck is a normal part of the growth and learning process. It won't always be linear. Focus on the things that are going to rekindle your motivation. So even if your goal, say for example, for this year is to increase your net worth by 20,000. Again, just arbitrary, right? 20,000 and you're thinking, okay, the way I'm going to do it is get promoted. Fantastic. Let's find a way to get promoted. But promotion is not always linear. It may mean that you may have to change roles to get promoted. It may mean you may have to change companies to get promoted. It may mean that that 20,000 is not coming from a promotion, but it's coming from a side hustle. So getting unstuck, not staying on that path and saying that the only way I can accomplish my goals is through that path. That's what getting unstuck is about. Because guess what? It's going to happen to everyone. And another thing is it's inevitable that you're going to get demotivated, right? You'll keep hitting your head against the wall. And at some point, you're going to wonder, how am I going to break through this wall? So, some of the things that I do and I recommend you to do is to find things that are easily achievable and things that make you happy. In 30 minutes, I'm going to go play soccer, football, indoor. Yeah, I'm not going out in the cold. And I'm going to play with the over 40s group, which fills me with motivation because guess what? I can run rounds around over 40s, but under 40s, CSE. So anyway, find things that day to day will give you a sense of accomplishment because that helps you in getting through that stickiness. Again, sometimes uncertainty and sometimes indecision comes from the fact that it's not a clear path to your goal, right? You don't see that clear path. You want to be prescribed for, and that's okay. Again, that's prudent. But here's what I'm telling you, you will get stuck. The power is finding a way to get unstuck. And that may mean detouring for a while and then getting back on track towards your goal. So make a decision now, know that you will get stuck, and anticipate getting stuck because that's what's going to help you go through that stickiness. The M in fumble is managing your mindset. This is the most powerful. The mind is the most powerful weapon we have. We all ask ourselves, am I doing enough? Is this the right thing? What if, what if, maybe, what if? But I go back to the initial question. What price are you willing to pay for indecision? If this is in fact your year, 2025, This is the year that you increase your net worth. This is the year that you increase your self worth. This is the year you increase all those worths. Then, by being indecisive, by not making a decision, you're paying a huge price. So, what price are you willing to pay for indecision? That's where managing your mindset comes. Mindset is the most powerful weapon we have. Don't, I mean, we all think about what are people going to think about us. So, I want to acknowledge that. I'm not going to tell you, don't worry about what other people think. What I will tell you, this I learned actually, Shankar Vedanta might listen to a podcast a few months ago. What I will tell you is instead of don't worry about what people think about you, influence what people think about you. Influence what people think about you. That's powerful. If you can influence what people think about you, then that helps you. So, as you think about how to manage your mindset, don't worry about what others think about you. Influence what others will think about you. A lot of times with mindset, indecision sets in. You have uncertainty, you have self doubts, but I'm just, no, we get stuck in a fixed mindset and we give power to other people. Managing mindset is developing a growth mindset, the belief that your abilities will be developed through dedication, learning, and hard work. You will get stressed every day, every week, every quarter. That's just life. I can never tell you not to get stressed. I can never tell you don't be scared. I can never tell you any of those things because I don't believe in absolutes. What I do believe is you can reinterpret those things. Reinterpret stress not as evidence of inadequacy, but as evidence of how much you care about something. This is so powerful. The fact that you stress about it, that you toss and turn, that is a signal that your body wants you to do something about it. Jen Mukami once told me, you will toss and turn in your sleep until you do this thing, whatever that thing is. And I'm telling you too, I know many of you with whom I've spoken to, you have all these dreams and desires of what you want to do for yourself and others, and you're tossing and turning daily in indecision. I'm here to tell you, manage your mindset, make that decision, no matter what it is. I'm not asking you to make the decision now. I'm asking you to time box it and say, by the end of the month, by the third week of January, the decision will be made either for or against what I'm thinking about. Reinterpret stress not as evidence of your inadequacy, but as evidence of how much you care about something, because it will transform the way you think about it. So, all these things so far are about reframing. I told you about fear. Reframe fear not as something you shouldn't have, but as something you have to go through. Reframe stickiness not as, hey, this is too hard, I can't get through this wall, but a sign that maybe you need to reroute, take a different route to get to your destination. Reframe stress and mindset not as something that means you're not able to do it, but as something that means you care about something so deeply that you stress about it. Now that you've sort of like reframed those three things, facing fear, getting unstuck, managing mindset, what are the actions that you need to do? One, be in fumble is be bold. Be bold, raise your hand, take the risk, click on live, Facebook Live, and do a Facebook Live. Whatever it is, I'm just giving an example, right? Be bold in the decision you make. My son and I share the same fear. Every time, every like before we play soccer, he plays soccer like he's really good, by the way. Yeah? I can hold my own, right? But even before any game, like this game, this is with like Zacks who are 40 plus years old, who I can run rounds around them, but I'm scared, right? Like I'm anxious, but you have to be bold. You have to step into that boldness, right? I encourage you to take on something challenging, advocate for a new idea, initiative, you know, go in and raise your hand to be subbed in, make that step to make that move against the defender, whatever it is. And in when it comes to 2025 and probably some of the things that you want to accomplish with work or with your own business, champion your idea with conviction. Champion your idea with conviction. I know it's tough. I know sometimes you think, what will they think about me? Okay. I'm going to find, there was a saying that was said so well. It was something about, you know, uh, don't be quiet and because you think they'll think you're dumb, speak up so that they don't think you're dumb or something like that, right? The point is be bold. That I've been working for, I don't know, 30 years, yeah, for a really long time. But the one piece of advice that has really progressed my career is being bold, taking initiative with conviction, okay? Champion your ideas with conviction. But also, the fact is you're going to fail at some point. Things will not happen. You will invest money in your business and you lose it. You will invest a lot of time in this project and it will go, it won't go as planned. Embrace failure as a stepping stone. Don't expect to fail, but if you do, refocus, reframe your mind to what that failure means to you. Failure is an opportunity for you to do something again. It's inevitable, but is not the end of the road, but rather a valuable learning experience. So reframe failure as opportunity for growth. So, what is the L in Fumble? L is for leadership. It's all about self leadership, the ability to manage your own thoughts, your emotions, your behaviors in pursuit of your goals. Leadership is, bar none, the most important. I don't even know if I can call it a trait, right? But I'll use trait for lack of a better word. The most important trait you have. We tell our kids all the time, why are you doing what that person is doing? Can't you step up and be a leader? I'm asking you to step up and be a leader. You, I know all of you who come to me and talk to me and tell me about your goals, but you're waiting for someone to lead you through that goal. No one's going to lead you. Practice self leadership. Self leadership sometimes means seeking guidance from others, so I'll take that. But self leadership is about you and your ability to manage your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in pursuit of personal goals. Be authentic, practice the growth mindset. Remember, leaders make decisions, a lot of which are informed by things, right? But that doesn't mean that they don't fail. Leadership is not about failure. Leadership is about the pivot you make when you fail. I was once told that by a really senior person. He said, leadership, the proof of leadership is how you pivot when you fail or you receive feedback. Okay? So if I give you feedback or if you fail, the practice of leadership is what you do. Do you stay down? Do you fight back? Or do you pivot and figure out how to take the learnings from that failure so that you can capitalize and leverage them to accomplish your goals? And then E, this is my weakest one of all. I do very well with I face by fear, I get unstuck, I manage my mindset, I'm really bold, I practice leadership and I figure out what type of leader I am. But my failure, guys, is execution. Execution. At the end of the day, you have a job to do and you have to execute swiftly, strategically, and with focus. Execution is what makes something happen. This mumble of marinating and thinking and strategizing and maybeing and maybeing and maybeing, all of that fails if you don't execute properly. Execution in the real world is not merely accepting the work or projects you're given, but being strategic and systematic in your choices. Okay? Turn your default into design. Okay? And let me tell you what I mean about that. That is a principle that I've lived by for a long time. You can let things happen naturally to you, or you can notice that they're happening and turn that default into design and intention. So as you think about 2025 and what you plan to execute on, think about how you can turn the things that, oh yeah, every day I go to the gym, turn that into every day I'll go to the gym with the intention of. Okay, that's how you start seeing the outcome of execution. The business environment is constantly changing. The personal environment is constantly changing. Your relationship with other people is constantly changing. It's getting faster and faster. It's really fast paced. Those of you with your kids are figuring out how the kids are coping, how they're adapting to so many things. Life is coming by fast. So part of execution is the ability to adapt. Okay? Execute. I'm not saying execute flawlessly. Execute fast, execute swiftly, execute strategically, execute with focus, get the job done. So fumble, face your fear, get unstuck, manage your mindset, be bold, practice leadership, execute. Those six things, I think, if you, in advance of your indecision or in advance of making a decision, if you can start setting your mind on how you're going to tackle the fumble, then I think you're well positioned to make a decision. Again, I'm not telling you to go forth and I'm not telling you to exit. I'm just saying do not live in indecision. In closing, wow, I practiced my Kenyanism right there. In closing, um, no, but real talk, it may feel like you're taking a big risk on some of your goals for 2025, right? Whether they're physical goals, fitness goals, health goals, net worth goals, self worth goals, whatever goals you may have. It may feel like you're taking a big risk by making that decision. But instead of thinking about what you have to lose, think about what price you're willing to pay for that indecision. By not making the decision, what price are you paying? Don't live in maybe, don't live in indecision. Discomfort is the currency to your dreams. So acknowledge that discomfort is okay. It's the currency you have to pay to accomplish your dreams, to accomplish your goals. But don't live in indecision. Um, so now I've said all this, and people will ask, okay, so Ichi, I'm with you, I get it, I'm hyped, I'm ready, but now what, right? I think the answer lives in the empowerment zone, the Wezesha zone, right? Wezesha is all about empowerment, getting into a place where, you know, you have these things, these structures in place that help you feel empowered so that you can meet that outcome that you want. And structural empowerment is all about access to resources, access to support, information, opportunity. And so once you have access to all those things, and some of them are learning things. Oh, I want to make this decision, but I need to learn this. Yes. I want to make this decision, but I need support on this. Yes. I need to make this decision, but you know what opportunity is there for me? So access to all those things. And I think for me, it's like coaching, right? Like coaches, they give you support, they make opportunities available, they give you information you need, right? They give you all those things that create that structural empowerment. Now, once you have that structural empowerment, then you're going to feel confident. You're going to feel, that you have meaning. You're going to feel like confidence and self-determination, and you're going to feel like you're going to make an impact, and you'll have an impact. So all those things mixed together, I think, then motivate you out of that indecision. So I'll end by saying this because yeah, I have to go. Some of us old guys, we have to warm up for like 30 minutes before we kick the ball. um, but in all honesty, I think the power is within us. The power is within us to feel that we're able to accomplish these goals. The power is within us. I want to say that majority of us have that power within us. Of course, there's outliers, and I want to acknowledge that there's some people for whom that's much more difficult than others. So let's assume that all of us have that power. What we need is the skill to take that power and manifest it into that thing that we want to achieve in 2025. And what I'm proposing for you today is think about the fumble framework. Think about intentionally acknowledging that you're going to go through all these things, that you'll face fear, that you'll get stuck, that your mindset will be all messed up. You'll have a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. that you have to be bold, that you have to practice self leadership, and most importantly, you have to execute. So I want you to put that in one bucket on one side and say, got it. I need to acknowledge that these things are the things I'm going to have to overcome psychologically. Then on this other side, I want you to figure out what you need structurally to be able to feel empowered to make those decisions. Again, access to information, resources, support, opportunity. What's that skill that you need to learn? What's that technical skill you need to learn? That upskill that you need to learn? What are those classes I need to do? What is that learning that I need to get? And that support that I need, and that prodding, and that coaching, and that pep talk? What are those things that I need? That if I combine that structural empowerment and I combine the reality of all these other things that I talked about in the fumble framework, that will create for me this feeling that I can do anything and I'm going to feel empowered and I'm going to accomplish my goals. So that's my speech for today. Wezesha Wednesday. Happy New Year 2025. I have humongous dreams and vision for 2025 for Wezesha and for all of us. Empowerment through shared experiences. And as the days and weeks unfold, I'll start putting them out because I think somewhere in there we can all help one another to figure out how to accomplish our goals in 2025, increase our net worth, increase our self-worth, increase the impact we have on our community, increase the sharing of experiences that we can do amongst one another. So I'll end with that. Let me go and put on those things so that I don't get muscle pulls and hamstring pulls and all that as I play futa. Peace. Wezesha in 2025. See ya.